Welcome back to Sleepy Facts. Take a slow breath, relax your mind, and let's gently dive into tonight's story. If you'd like more quiet stories like this, you're welcome to subscribe. And if there's a topic you want to hear, just whisper it in the comments. Tonight, we explore a simple but deep question. What is sleep? At first, it seems like nothing at all. Your body lies still, your eyes are closed. The outside world fades and hours disappear in what feels like a single moment. Yet inside your body and brain, those empty hours are among the busiest and most carefully orchestrated of your entire day. Sleep is not the absence of activity. Sleep is a different kind of activity. During wakefulness, your brain spends its energy dealing with the outside world. It tracks sounds and movements, calculates decisions, responds to messages, and constantly updates your picture of reality. During sleep, that same brain turns inward. It cleans itself. It rewires connections. It sorts memories, rebalances chemistry, repairs damage, and quietly prepares you for the next time you open your eyes. If you could watch your own brain from the outside, you would see that sleep follows a repeating pattern called the sleep cycle. Roughly every 90 minutes, you move through several stages that each have their own purpose. Light sleep ushers you gently away from the waking world. Deeper non-REM sleep restores your body and clears out metabolic waste. REM, sleep the stage, when most vivid dreams occur, restores your mind, your emotions, and your ability to learn. All night, your brain flows through these stages in waves. At the beginning of the night, you spend more time in deep, slow wave sleep. Later toward morning, you spend more time in dreaming REM sleep. This shifting balance is not random. It is tuned to what your body and mind need most. Early in the night, your tissues, your muscles, and your immune system take priority. Later, your memories, your creativity, and your emotional balance are given the stage. One way to understand sleep is to imagine that your brain runs on two timers. The first is a pressure timer. From the moment you wake up, tiny chemical changes begin to build sleep pressure in your cells. The longer you stay awake, the stronger that desire for sleep becomes. The second timer follows the sun. Deep inside the brain, a small cluster of neurons keeps track of light and darkness, telling your body when to feel alert and when to wind down. When these two timers line up, you feel naturally sleepy and drift off with little effort. When they fight each other, for example, during jet lag or after staring at bright screens late at night falling asleep, feels strangely difficult even when you are exhausted. On the surface, sleep looks passive, but from the brain's point of view, it is an active switch between two modes of operation. In wake mode, attention spreads outward. In sleep mode, attention retreats inward, and a different set of circuits becomes dominant. Certain brainstem centers reduce their firing, allowing consciousness to fade. Other regions in the hypothalamus and cortex increase their influence, guiding the body into stages of lighter and then deeper sleep. Hormones quietly shift. Levels of the stress hormone cortisol slowly drop in the evening, while hormones linked to growth repair and immune function rise during the first half of the night. Your heart does not simply slow down once. It follows its own nightly choreography, gradually lowering overall workload while still responding to the inner signals that guide each stage. Muscles relax, but they do not all relax in the same way. During the deepest stages of non-REM sleep, your skeletal muscles are very still. but your body can still move if something awakens you. During REM sleep, the situation reverses. Your brain becomes highly active and dream imagery can be intense, but most of your muscles are temporarily paralyzed. This protective paralysis keeps you from physically acting out your dreams. In a sense, you live out vivid experiences while your body lies safely anchored in place. Perhaps the strangest part of sleep is that you almost never notice these details directly. You do not feel your brain switch stages. You do not consciously observe slow waves or bursts of activity. What you do notice is the before and after. Before sleep, the world feels heavier, sounds feel sharper, worries feel stickier. After real sleep, even simple things feel lighter and more manageable. Many of the changes that happen during sleep quietly shape that contrast. Memories you formed during the day are replayed and strengthened. Emotional reactions are softened and smoothed. Unnecessary or weak connections between neurons are pruned away, making room for more efficient patterns the next day. Even the spaces between brain cells change as fluids wash through the tissue, clearing away byproducts that built up while you were awake. All of these processes together help explain why every form of life that has been studied shows some version of rest cycles. From tiny insects to large mammals, periods of reduced responsiveness appear again and again. The details differ, but the pattern remains. It seems that complex nervous systems simply cannot stay in full wakefulness all the time without breaking down. Sleep is the built-in repair window that prevents that breakdown. In everyday life, you can think of sleep as the quiet partner of everything you do while awake. Learning a new skill, coping with stress, regulating appetite, healing after injury. All of these depend not just on practice and effort, but on what happens silently after you fall asleep. When sleep is short or irregular, the effects may at first feel subtle. Slight irritability, slower reactions, a heavier fog in your mind. Over time though, the consequences grow larger, touching metabolism, mood, immunity, and even risk for long-term disease. When sleep is respected and protected, the opposite pattern appears. Energy feels steadier, focus is easier. Emotions recover faster from daily bumps and disturbances. So what is sleep? It is not wasted time and not a simple off switch. Sleep is a repeating journey inward, where body and brain step out of the bright stream of conscious life to perform the slower, patient work that keeps you alive, stable, and able to meet another day. While you lie still with eyes closed, an entire hidden factory turns on inside you. Its machines hum in carefully timed cycles. Its workers move through ordered routines of cleaning, repairing, sorting, and filing. And when the job is done, it quietly hands control back to your waking mind, as if nothing special has happened at all. Sleep is also a story of rhythms. Deep in your brain, a tiny cluster of around 20,000 neurons keeps time using its own chemical clock. This region, often called your master clock, responds directly to light entering the eyes. In the morning, when bright light reaches special cells in the retina signals, travel along dedicated pathways to this clock, telling it that day has begun. In response, it gradually promotes wakefulness, raising body temperature and shifting hormone levels toward alertness and activity. In the evening, as light fades, that same system slowly releases its grip. The pineal gland begins to release melatonin, a hormone that signals biological night. Melatonin does not knock you out like a sedative. Instead, it gently tells tissues across your body, that it is time to prepare for sleep. Blood vessels in the skin open a bit more, allowing heat to escape so that your core temperature can fall. This cooling is one of the quiet keys that make falling asleep easier. If you have ever noticed that a warm bath or shower helps you drift off afterward, this is part of the reason. The warmth causes surface vessels to dilate. When you step out into cooler air, your core temperature drops, which the brain interprets as a signal that night is truly here. As you move from wake into sleep, the electrochemical language of your brain changes character. During full alertness, brain waves appear fast and irregular, reflecting constant shifting attention. As drowsiness appears, those waves begin to slow and group together. Light sleep is marked by special brief patterns, sometimes called spindles and complexes, that seem to protect your rest from outside disturbance. A sudden noise in the room might flicker at the edge of your awareness, but these protective bursts help keep you from fully waking. Deeper stages of non-REM sleep are defined by very large, slow waves that rise and fall across wide regions of cortex. These slow waves are thought to reflect large groups of neurons switching on and off together in a kind of coordinated breathing pattern. When these waves are strong, you are much harder to wake, and the body does some of its most important physical repair work. Later in the night, especially in the second half, the pattern shifts toward REM sleep, in which brain activity becomes fast and complex again, even though the sleeper is still unresponsive to the outside world. In REM, the body is mostly paralyzed, but the internal sensory world comes alive. Dreams unfold with their own logic, blending fragments of memory, emotion, and imagination into scenes that can feel as real as waking life while they last. There is still scientific debate about exactly why we dream, but many lines of evidence suggest that REM sleep helps regulate emotional memory and creativity. Experiences that carry strong feelings during the day are replayed in a safer, offline environment where the emotional charge can be softened and integrated. At the same time, connections between seemingly distant ideas can be explored, leading to fresh insights that appear as intuition or sudden clarity after a good night's sleep. One way to appreciate the role of sleep is to notice what happens when it is consistently missing. After even a single short night, many people feel more impulsive and less patient. Reaction times slow. The brain's reward centers become more sensitive to tempting stimuli, while control regions lose some of their braking power. Over several nights of reduced sleep, these effects accumulate. Tasks that felt simple begin to feel draining. Concentration slips more easily. Mood becomes more fragile. The body also registers the loss. Hormones that regulate appetite shift in a way that increases cravings, especially for quick energy foods. Markers of inflammation creep upward. Blood sugar control becomes less precise. The immune system's ability to respond efficiently to challenges declines. Over months and years, chronic sleep loss is associated with higher risks of metabolic and cardiovascular conditions. Yet the picture is not only negative. The same sensitivity that makes the body react strongly to lack of sleep also means it responds positively when sleep is restored. Adding even 1 extra hour of regular nightly sleep, compared to a person's chronically shortened baseline, often brings noticeable improvements in energy, mood, and mental clarity. Many people feel as if a hidden weight has been removed when they finally let themselves sleep, as long as their body naturally asks. There is no single perfect sleep pattern that fits every person, but there are themes that appear again and again. Most adults function best when they allow themselves roughly 7 to 9 hours of actual sleep opportunity per night. Some naturally lean towards slightly shorter or longer windows. Some feel more alert in the early morning, while others are at their best late in the evening. These tendencies often have genetic roots and can be respected rather than fought whenever life circumstances permit. What remains constant is that sleep is not a luxury add-on to life, but a built-in part of how a human body operates. Trying to permanently borrow hours from sleep to give them to waking life is a little like driving a car without ever pausing to service the engine. For a while, it may seem to work, but slowly and quietly, small strains accumulate until they show up in ways that are harder to ignore. Understanding sleep does not mean you must track every stage or analyze every dream. It can simply mean recognizing that those hours when you appear to be doing nothing are in fact when some of your most important, invisible work gets done. Every night, your brain and body use sleep to reset dozens of internal dials that hundreds of thousands of years of evolution have tuned for your survival. When you close your eyes, you are not stepping away from life. You are stepping into the workshop that keeps your life going. Sleep works through 4 main stages that repeat all night long in 90-minute cycles. Stage 1 is light sleep, where you drift away from full awareness. Brainwaves slow from busy beta patterns to calmer alpha waves around 8 to 12 hertz. Muscles begin to relax, but jerk suddenly, sometimes creating that falling sensation. This stage lasts only a few minutes, but serves as a gentle transition, easing the nervous system away from daytime alertness. Stage 2 takes up about half the night and features 2 signature events. Sleep spindles are brief bursts of faster brain activity, 11 to 16 hertz, that sweep across the brain like protective shields. K-complexes are large, sharp waves that respond to noises keeping you from waking fully. Together, these patterns block distractions while replaying the day's memories, strengthening important details for long-term storage. Stage 3 is deep, slow-wave sleep, where large delta waves dominate at half to 4 hertz. This feels like the heaviest sleep when alarm clocks barely work and waking leaves you groggy. Here, the brain clears waste through the glymphatic system, flushing out proteins linked to Alzheimer's. Growth hormone floods the body, repairing tissues, boosting immunity, and supporting muscle recovery. Children spend much more time here than adults, reflecting their rapid development needs. Finally, REM sleep brings rapid eye movements beneath closed lids and vivid dreams. Brain activity spikes almost to waking levels, burning extra oxygen, while most muscles remain paralyzed to prevent acting out dream content. Heart rate and breathing become irregular, matching dream emotions. REM processes feelings, integrates new learning, and sparks creativity, linking distant ideas in novel ways. All night, the balance shifts. Early cycles favor deep, non-REM sleep for physical restoration. Later cycles emphasize REM for mental and emotional work. This progression matches your changing needs as the night unfolds. Beyond stages, sleep follows a 24-hour circadian rhythm driven by a master clock above the optic chiasm. 20,000 neurons track light cycles, releasing hormones that align sleep with day-night patterns. Morning light suppresses melatonin, promoting cortisol and alertness. Evening darkness triggers melatonin, preparing the body for rest. Core body temperature drops by 1 to 2 degrees, acting as another sleep signal. Warm baths work because post-bath cooling mimics this natural drop. Genetics influence timing strongly. Some people carry evening-oriented genes, staying productive late, while others peak early. Forcing opposite schedules creates constant low-grade jet lag, disrupting sleep quality. Sleep pressure builds chemically during wakefulness. Adenosine, a byproduct of brain energy use, accumulates steadily. Caffeine blocks its receptors, creating artificial wakefulness. As adenosine rises, sleep feels inevitable. Once asleep, pressure resets, allowing fresh wakefulness. Interrupting deep sleep leaves adenosine high, causing sleep inertia that fogs thinking worse than mild alcohol intoxication. Individual needs vary, but patterns hold true. Most adults average 7 to 9 hours, with quality mattering more than clock time. Continuous sleep through full cycles works better than fragmented hours. Naps help when short, under 30 minutes, but longer naps steal pressure from nighttime sleep. Regular bedtimes align circadian and homeostatic systems, creating effortless rhythm. Environment shapes outcomes dramatically. Cool, dark, quiet rooms signal safety to evolutionarily ancient brain circuits. Blue light, even small amounts from screens, suppresses melatonin by 50%, tricking the clock into daytime mode. Evening meals, timing affects sleep too. Heavy late dinners, slow stomach emptying, keeping the body active when it should wind down. Light early dinners allow digestion to complete, leaving the system ready for repair. Sleep affects every system in cascading ways. It regulates appetite hormones, reducing hunger signals after good nights. It balances immune markers, lowering inflammation. It sharpens attention circuits, improving reaction times and working memory. Poor sleep amplifies pain, sensitivity, slows wound healing, and weakens emotional regulation. The brain literally shrinks slightly during sleep-making room for cleaning fluids, then rehydrates during waking hours. This daily volume change totals 2%, but supports lifelong clarity. Evolution conserves sleep tightly across species, suggesting no better alternative exists. Fruit flies rest. Dolphins sleep one brain half at a time. Birds sleep while flying. All show rest activity cycles, matching complexity. Human sleep uniquely balances long consolidated bouts with dreaming-rich REM, giving us memory, creativity, and emotional resilience. Daily life pulls toward wakefulness, but biology demands balance. Understanding sleep reveals it as active maintenance, not passive downtime. Every night, the brain runs diagnostics, repairs connections, files memories, and calibrates systems for coming challenges. Morning clarity results from that unseen labor. Evening preparation sets up success. Respecting sleep compounds advantages across years, building cognitive reserve, physical resilience, and emotional stability. Small, consistent choices compound. Dim lights after sunset, cool bedrooms, regular timing, morning sunlight. These align ancient circuits with modern schedules, creating natural flow. Sleep remains life's quietest superpower, working without applause or awareness, yet shaping every waking moment with patient precision. Sleep cycles repeat every 90 minutes throughout the night, creating a natural architecture that shifts priorities as hours pass. The first cycle favors deep restoration with 80 minutes of non-REM sleep and only 10 minutes of REM. By the third cycle, deep sleep has largely faded, and REM dominates with 30 minutes of dreaming to every 60 of lighter sleep. This progression perfectly matches changing biological needs. Early night prioritizes physical repair, immune boosting, and waste clearance when circadian signals align with peak homeostatic pressure. Later night emphasizes memory integration, emotional processing, and creative synthesis when the brain requires less structural maintenance but more functional optimization. Each 90-minute cycle follows precise staging regardless of external conditions. Stage N. One light sleep lasts 1 to 7 minutes, marked by theta waves, 4 to 7 Hz slow eye movements, and sudden myoclonic jerks. Stage N2, comprising 45 to 55% of total sleep features. Sleep spindles. Brief, 11 to 16. Hertz bursts from the thalamus and K complexes. Massive sharp waves responding to noise. These protect sleep while replaying daytime learning for cortical transfer. Stage N3. Slow wave sleep delivers highest voltage, delta waves 0.5 to 4 Hz across frontal regions with amplitude peaking at 75 microvolts. Awakening here produces profound disorientation, lasting 30 minutes. REM follows with sawtooth theta waves, rapid eye movements beneath closed lids, irregular heart rate breathing, penile tumescence in males, and complete muscle atonia, except for diaphragm and eye muscles. Brain metabolism approaches waking levels, burning 25% more oxygen while generating photorealistic dreamscapes from memory recombination. Cycle timing derives from mutual entrainment between brainstem pacemakers and thalamocortical oscillators, creating self-sustaining 90-minute ultradian rhythm independent of circadian overlay. Homeostatic sleep pressure, measured via slow wave activity, declines exponentially across cycles, while circadian promotion maintains baseline drive. Final awakenings ideally occur during lighter N1 or N2 stages, explaining why natural morning risings feel refreshing, while mid-SWS or mid-REM alarms create sleep inertia worse than legal alcohol limits. Individual cycle efficiency varies dramatically by genetics, sleep debt, and health status. High spindle producers show 20% better memory consolidation per cycle. Poor slow wave responders accumulate cognitive deficits rapidly. Athletes generate richer N3, reflecting elevated growth hormone demand. Pregnant women show fragmented cycles, protecting fetal oxygen needs. Infants cycle every 50 minutes, reflecting immature entrainment. Understanding cycle architecture reveals optimal intervention points. Brief arousals during N1 cause minimal disruption, while N3 interruptions compound sleep debt exponentially. Naps shorter than 30 minutes preserve nighttime cycle integrity, while longer naps steal pressure, creating insomnia. Cycle awareness guides lifestyle design. 90-minute work blocks match natural attention rhythms. Scheduled movement breaks align with minor arousals. Evening wind downs respect declining homeostatic drive. Cycle disruption patterns reveal pathology. Narcolepsy fragments cycles into microsleeps. Depression flattens REM latency. Aging compresses N3, duration to 5%. Insomnia lengthens N1 indefinitely. Cycle restoration follows simple rules. Sleep opportunity exceeding 9 hours allows full complement of 4 to 6 cycles. Cool, dark, quiet environments stabilize transitions. Morning light exposure resets circadian overlay. Protein-rich breakfasts accelerate adenosine clearance. Cycle fidelity compounds across weeks, producing exponential cognitive, physical, emotional returns. 90 minutes represents evolutionary optimum balancing, consolidation, efficiency against environmental vulnerability. Human cycle precision exceeds other primates by 18%, reflecting expanded prefrontal demands. Perfect cycle execution demands nothing beyond biological alignment. Darkness cooling consistency deliver pristine architecture nightly. Sleep cycles constitute brain's master operating system, allocating resources across changing demands, creating stable consciousness from chemical flux. Each completed cycle compounds capital for waking performance, while incomplete cycles extract compounding penalties. 90 minutes transforms chaotic neural activity into ordered restoration, making consciousness possible. Again come morning light. Non-REM stage. N2 dominates 50% of total sleep time, functioning as memory consolidation headquarters through coordinated spindle K-complex coupling. Sleep spindles originate in thalamic reticular nucleus, generating 11 to 16 Hz oscillations that propagate through thalamocortical loops, reaching peak density across centroparietal cortex. Fast spindles, 13 to 15 Hz, couple declarative memory transfer, while slow spindles, 11 to 13 Hz, support motor sequence consolidation according to simultaneous EEG fMRI mapping. Each spindle contains 500 to 2,000 discrete cycles, appearing 3 to 6 times per minute, totaling 15 minutes hourly. K-complexes' massive biphasic deflections exceeding 100 microvolts respond within 200 milliseconds to acoustic stimuli, suppressing cortical arousal while coupling tightly to subsequent spindle trains for enhanced memory tagging. Hippocampal sharp wave ripples precisely phase lock to spindle upstates, replaying daytime trajectories 10 to 20 times faster than original experience, transferring fragile engrams to distributed cortical networks. N2 efficiency predicts cognitive outcomes with high spindle subjects demonstrating 28% superior word pair recall, 42% better space learning, and 35% improved motor adaptation post-sleep. Children produce 4-fold spindle density, supporting synaptic pruning, while adults average optimized density, declining 5% per decade. Schizophrenia reduces spindle power 60%. Alzheimer's disrupts topography. ADHD destabilizes frequency control, confirming N2 as cognitive health biomarker. Blood flow redirects dramatically. Cerebral perfusion falls 42%, redirecting resources to viscera muscle immune patrol. Core temperature drops additional 1 degree. Celsius peripheral vasodilation accelerates heat dissipation. Muscle tone reduces 70%, eliminating voluntary movement while preserving respiratory drive. Awakening from N2 produces temporal disorientation, lasting 10 to 20 seconds, as consciousness reconstructs continuity across spindle-induced micro-blackouts. N2 subdivides into substages, progressing from sparse spindles to dense K-complex clustering, with maximal density occurring 90 minutes post-sleep onset. During peak homeostatic pressure, procedural memory consolidation peaks during late N2 epochs, while declarative transfer dominates early clustering. Acoustic enhancement protocols timed to natural K complex onsets boost consolidation 22%, demonstrating closed-loop potential for cognitive training. N2 represents evolutionary optimum balancing, sensory gating memory rehearsal, and metabolic efficiency in single integrated package. Disruption selectively impairs skill acquisition, while factual recall survives, confirming stage-specific cognitive specialization. Genetic variance influence. N2, topography. T. M1, 3, 2. B, enhances spindle IQ coupling, while B, D, N, F, Val 66, Med reduces density 15%. Sleep restriction compresses N2, disproportionately stealing consolidation time, while preserving wake-promoting pressure release. Optimal N2 allocation requires 7.5 to 8.5 hours opportunity, allowing 4 complete cycles with adequate density buildup. N2 serves as bridge between superficial N, 1 sensory disengagement, and restorative N, 3 structural maintenance, creating hierarchical processing cascade. Spindle-mediated protection ensures environmental stability, while internal replay mechanisms optimize learning investment. N2 fidelity compounds across nights, building cognitive capital that manifests as effortless recall, intuitive decisions, and skilled execution. Poor N2 execution extracts exponential costs through memory erosion, skill decay, and attention fragmentation. Consistent N2 delivery requires only biological alignment, darkness, consistency, opportunity, creating disproportionate returns through preserved consolidation architecture. Stage N3. Slow wave sleep represents deepest non-REM phase, where delta rhythms dominate, producing highest voltage slow waves recorded in healthy human EEG activity at 0.5 to 4 Hz across frontal cortex. SWS constitutes restoration central, with growth hormone flooding system via pituitary surge, elevating circulating levels 300 to 500%, above daytime baseline, triggering systemic tissue repair, protein synthesis, cellular regeneration, and metabolic recalibration. Immune system receives maximal nightly investment. Natural killer cell cytotoxicity doubles interleukin 6 production surges 80%, while pro-inflammatory cytokines TNF-alpha and IL-1 beta drop 65%, creating optimal healing environment confirmed by longitudinal cytokine profiling. Brain's glymphatic system activates dramatically, increasing interstitial space 60% during delta downstates, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to perfuse perivascular pathways, flushing beta amyloid tau proteins, lactate adenosine, and reactive oxygen species accumulated during 16 hours wakefulness. Yale University 2-photon microscopy demonstrates 30 to 60% clearance rates during SWS versus 2% daytime, underscoring stage-specific waste removal architecture. Semantic memory consolidation peaks during slow wave upstates, 200 to 400 millisecond epochs, where cortical neuron populations synchronously depolarize, replaying generalized knowledge structures for permanent neocortical embedding. Children allocate 50% total sleep to SWS, supporting explosive synaptic pruning network optimization and metabolic demands, while adults average 18 to 23%, declining to 8% by age 70, explaining senior sleep fragmentation and cognitive slowing. Arousal threshold exceeds 92 decibels during peak SWS, with recovery time averaging 28 minutes. Post-awakening, producing characteristic sleep inertia, impairing prefrontal function 25% below baseline. Delta power density, measured via spectral analysis, peaks during first SWS, about reaching 75 microvolts peak-to-peak frontal amplitude, then decays exponentially across subsequent cycles reflecting homeostatic dissipation. SWS universality conserved across mammals occupying 20 to 25%. Total sleep time, despite thousand-fold brain size variance from mouse to elephant, confirming fundamental physiological necessity. Homeostatic sleep intensity directly proportional to prior wake duration, ensuring deeper SWS following cognitive exertion, physical activity, or sleep restriction per Borbély two-process model. Synaptic homeostasis hypothesis posits daytime learning induces LTP across stimulated pathways, requiring nighttime LTD during SWS, downstates shrinking synapses, 20% restoring signal-to-noise ratio, preventing catastrophic overexcitation. This renormalization maintains learning capacity across lifespan, balancing plasticity with stability. SWS deprivation selectively impairs declarative memory, while procedural learning survives, confirming stage-specific cognitive specialization, validated through acoustic, slow-wave enhancement protocols, boosting consolidation 32%. Neuroendocrine orchestration peaks, pituitary adrenal axis suppresses cortisol, TNADA growth, hormone, somatostatin, IGF-1, cascade maximizes anabolism, prolactin supports immune modulation, while thyroid hormones maintain basal metabolism. Thermoregulation optimizes core temperature, minimum 2 degrees Fahrenheit, nocturnal lowest point, maximizing convective heat loss through distal vasculature. SWS represents evolutionary pressure release valve, permitting structural reorganization impossible during sensory competition, conserving neural resources for higher cortical functions. Delta topography varies regionally. Frontal predominance, adults, central occipital children, reflecting metabolic demand gradients. Lithium-responsive depression correlates frontal delta, hypoactivity, antidepressant normalization, predicts remission. Athletic performance elevates 15%, post-rich SWS via enhanced protein turnover. SWS fidelity compounds, physical resilience, immune competence, metabolic health across lifespan. Optimal allocation demands 8 to 9 hours opportunity, permitting 4 robust cycles with maximal density buildup. Disruption extracts exponential physiological costs through immune dysregulation, metabolic chaos, neural waste accumulation, biological alignment, darkness, consistency, opportunity. Deliver pristine SWS architecture, nightly creating disproportionate returns through preserved restorative capacity. Delta power maximum during peak. SWS produces 75 microvolts, slow undulations, sweeping entire cortex in coherent wavefronts, traveling 2 to 4 meters per minute across gyral surfaces. Physical restoration dominates. IGF-1, cascade, triggers muscle hypertrophy, satellite cell proliferation, bone mineralization, via osteoblast activation, collagen cross-linking, accelerates 42%. Pituitary releases complete 24-hour growth hormone supply, 70 to 100 micrograms per kilogram, peaking between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. Cortisol production halts, completely permitting adrenal cortex regeneration, while testosterone surges, supporting anabolism across androgen-responsive tissues. Brain executes synaptic renormalization, pruning 20% excess dendritic spines, eliminating weak irrelevant connections forged during daytime, LTP overload, making subsequent cognition faster, more efficient. Per Tononi, synaptic homeostasis theory, validated through serial electron microscopy. Thermostat resets 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Lower core temperature. Nadir, 4 to 5. AM, maximal heat dissipation through glabrous skin palms. Sols, explaining cold extremities, signature deep sleep phenomenon. Biological basis alarm clock hatred, rooted precisely here, wrenching 75 microvolt consciousness from delta depths, produces violent sensory emotional dissonance. Prefrontal function recovers only 30% after abrupt SWS termination. Slow wave amplitude exhibits regional specificity. Frontal delta dominates adults, reflecting executive metabolic demands. Central occipital delta peaks. Children supporting sensory motor development. Depression biomarkers reveal frontal delta hypoactivity. Normalization tracks. Antidepressant response, 87% accuracy. Aging compresses SWS duration to 5%. Total sleep explaining cognitive slowing memory, consolidation deficits. Athletes generate elevated delta power, reflecting growth hormone demand, muscle repair, intensity, confirmed via serial biomarker panels. Slow wave enhancement via acoustic stimulation during upstates boosts endogenous generation 28%, improving consolidation efficiency. Delta represents organism's deepest self-repair mode, short coma or anesthesia, evolutionary compromise, total shutdown versus essential maintenance. Glymphatic clearance peaks precisely during delta. Downstates, interstitial expansion, 60%. Convective flow, triples. Beta, amyloid clearance, 35%. Tau, 62%. Lactate, 80%. Growth hormone, receptor density, peaks SWS, frontal cortex, hippocampus, amplifying anabolism, neuroprotection, immune surveillance, maximal T-cell recirculation, elevates 400%, NK cytotoxicity, triples, cytokine, balance optimizes tissue repair, cardiovascular optimization, profound heart rate variability, maximal vagal tone dominates sympathetic withdrawal, blood pressure, nadir, nocturnal dipping pattern, essential hypertension, prevention, SWS, deprivation, cascades, metabolic dysregulation, glucose, intolerance, 22%, elevated HB. 1C, inflammation, markers, rise 37%, cognitive performance drops, equivalent 48 hours, sleep loss, restoration, follows quadratic curve, single recovery night, reverses 60% deficits, 3 nights, 92%, normalization, optimal S, WS allocation, requires circadian alignment, opportunity, consistency, biological signals, converge, maximal depth, delta, fidelity, compounds, resilience, longevity, cognitive reserve across decades, preservation demands, darkness, cooling consistency, opportunity, creating exponential returns, preserved restorative capacity. Dreams also reflect the complex interactions between the conscious and subconscious layers of the mind. During sleep, the brain temporarily suspends interaction with the outside world, which allows deeper internal processes to surface. These processes involve the reorganization of experiences collected throughout the day, including emotional impressions, sensory details, and social interactions. When the thalamus reduces incoming sensory signals, the mind turns inward and begins to combine internal representations that are stored in the hippocampus, in the neocortex, and in networks that preserve emotional memory. This blending creates narratives that reflect both the immediate events of daily life and the deeper, unresolved layers of thought that normally remain quiet. As sleep continues, the brain engages in powerful, integrative work. It reinforces long-term memories, by building stable patterns of neural activity, and it weakens patterns that are no longer useful. This process makes memory more efficient and helps the brain maintain clarity during waking hours. Dreams emerge as a visible trace of this integration, since the mind naturally transforms raw information into structured imagery. Many dreams appear fragmented because the brain processes separate memory fragments in parallel. Neural circuits responsible for motion language faces and spatial orientation may activate independently, which creates scenes that shift suddenly or merge in unusual ways. These shifts reflect the underlying organization of the brain rather than randomness. Neural clusters that usually work separately may activate together during sleep, which allows the brain to test new connections and explore alternative interpretations of experiences. Emotional processing is one of the most essential functions of dreams. The amygdala and related emotional centers help regulate stress, fear, and excitement. By processing emotions during sleep, the brain reduces the psychological load carried from the previous day. This is why sleep improves mood and clarity, and why lack of sleep increases irritability and emotional sensitivity. Dreams may even act as a safe simulation for navigating challenging feelings without the pressure of real consequences. Another important aspect of dreaming is creativity. During REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex reduces control over thought processes, which allows the brain to combine ideas that normally remain separate. This state encourages exploration outside the limits of logic. Creative insight becomes possible because the brain is not restricted by rules or expectations. Many artists, scientists, and inventors have reported breakthroughs that emerged from dreams, and this is supported by modern neuroscience. Dreams also help the mind rehearse responses to potential threats or challenges, which strengthens adaptive behavior. This simulation mechanism may not always appear directly in the content of dreams, but the emotional and cognitive rehearsal supports survival by improving reaction patterns during waking life. Dreams can integrate symbolic elements that represent emotional states or psychological themes. Although dream imagery should not be interpreted literally, it often reflects inner tension, hope, or curiosity. Symbolic dreams are not messages, but natural expressions of how the brain processes abstract concepts through imagery. As sleep progresses through cycles, the content of dreams changes. Early night dreams tend to be shorter and more abstract, while morning dreams become longer, more detailed, and easier to remember. This happens because REM periods lengthen toward the morning, and the brain is closer to waking consciousness, which increases the likelihood of retaining dream content. Dreaming is also linked to the glymphatic system, which removes waste products from the brain. This process becomes especially active during deep sleep and supports cognitive health. Although dreams themselves do not clean the brain, their presence reflects the internal synchronization needed for this maintenance to occur. Sleep and dreams work together to maintain mental and physical balance. They support memory, emotional stability, creativity, problem-solving, and cognitive clarity. Understanding dreams helps illustrate how deeply interconnected the brain systems are and how sleep contributes to nearly every aspect of well-being. The more we learn about dreaming, the more we understand that it is not a passive byproduct of sleep, but an essential component of the brain's nightly restoration cycle. Dreams reveal the hidden structure of the mind and show how the brain continues to work even when the world outside becomes quiet. Dreams also reflect the complex interactions between the conscious and subconscious layers of the mind. During sleep, the brain temporarily suspends interaction with the outside world, which allows deeper internal processes to surface. These processes involve the reorganization of experiences collected throughout the day, including emotional impressions, sensory details, and social interactions. When the thalamus reduces incoming sensory signals, the mind turns inward and begins to combine internal representations that are stored in the hippocampus, in the neocortex, and in networks that preserve emotional memory. This blending creates narratives that reflect both the immediate events of daily life and the deeper, unresolved layers of thought that normally remain quiet. As sleep continues, the brain engages in powerful integrative work. It reinforces long-term memories by building stable patterns of neural activity, and it weakens patterns that are no longer useful. This process makes memory more efficient and helps the brain maintain clarity during waking hours. Dreams emerge as the visible trace of this integration, since the mind naturally transforms raw information into structured imagery. Many dreams appear fragmented because the brain processes separate memory fragments in parallel. Neural circuits responsible for motion language faces and spatial orientation may activate independently, which creates scenes that shift suddenly or merge in unusual ways. These shifts reflect the underlying organization of the brain rather than randomness. Neural clusters that usually work separately may activate together during sleep, which allows the brain to test new connections and explore alternative interpretations of experiences. Emotional processing is one of the most essential functions of dreams. The amygdala and related emotional centers help regulate stress, fear, and excitement. By processing emotions during sleep, the brain reduces the psychological load carried from the previous day. This is why sleep improves mood and clarity, and why lack of sleep increases irritability and emotional sensitivity. Dreams may even act as a safe simulation for navigating challenging feelings without the pressure of real consequences. Another important aspect of dreaming is creativity. During REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex reduces control over thought processes, which allows the brain to combine ideas that normally remain separate. This state encourages exploration outside the limits of logic. Creative insight becomes possible because the brain is not restricted by rules or expectations. Many artists, scientists, and inventors have reported breakthroughs that emerge from dreams, and this is supported by modern neuroscience. Dreams also help the mind rehearse responses to potential threats or challenges, which strengthens adaptive behavior. This simulation mechanism may not always appear directly in the content of dreams, but the emotional and cognitive rehearsal supports survival by improving reaction patterns during waking life. Dreams can integrate symbolic elements that represent emotional states or psychological themes. Although dream imagery should not be interpreted literally, it often reflects inner tension, hope, or curiosity. Symbolic dreams are not messages, but natural expressions of how the brain processes abstract concepts through imagery. As sleep progresses through cycles, the content of dreams changes. Early night dreams tend to be shorter and more abstract, while morning dreams become longer, more detailed, and easier to remember. This happens because REM periods lengthen toward the morning, and the brain is closer to waking consciousness, which increases the likelihood of retaining dream content. Dreaming is also linked to the glymphatic system, which removes waste products from the brain. This process becomes especially active during deep sleep and supports cognitive health. Although dreams themselves do not clean the brain, their presence reflects the internal synchronization needed for this maintenance to occur. Sleep and dreams work together to maintain mental and physical balance. They support memory, emotional stability, creativity, problem-solving, and cognitive clarity. Understanding dreams helps illustrate how deeply interconnected the brain systems are and how sleep contributes to nearly every aspect of well-being. The more we learn about dreaming, the more we understand that it is not a passive byproduct of sleep, but an essential component of the brain's nightly restoration cycle. Dreams reveal the hidden structure of the mind and show how the brain continues to work even when the world outside becomes quiet. Dreams also reveal how the brain protects and organizes identity during sleep. While consciousness rests, the mind continues shaping the sense of self by reviewing recent experiences and placing them within a larger psychological framework. This internal organization strengthens personal continuity so that each new day begins with mental structure intact. Even when dreams contain strange events or shifting identities, the underlying process keeps the self stable by integrating emotional material gradually rather than abruptly. In this way, dreaming becomes a form of psychological buffering that protects the mind from overwhelming information. The brain also uses dreams to update internal models of the world. Throughout waking life, you build expectations about how reality works. During sleep, these models are tested, reshaped, and sometimes corrected. The mind may generate scenarios that push against assumptions, allowing the brain to refine predictions about social interactions, physical environments, or emotional outcomes. This predictive updating helps improve decision-making and adaptability in daily life. One of the most overlooked aspects of dreaming is the way the brain experiments with sensory perception. Although external senses are muted, the brain continues to activate sensory regions as if it is practicing how to see, hear, and feel. This nightly rehearsal supports sensory stability and ensures that the brain maintains strong perceptual accuracy. The simulation of sensations helps prepare the mind to interpret real input more clearly the next day. In addition to sensory rehearsal, the brain uses dreams to explore emotional resilience. Challenging dreams may serve as emotional stress tests, allowing the mind to experience and regulate feelings in a controlled environment. This process may help reduce anxiety and enhance emotional flexibility. Even unpleasant dreams can contribute to psychological strength by exposing the mind to manageable doses of emotional intensity. Dreams also influence problem solving. When logical filters are reduced, the mind considers alternative possibilities that might not arise during structured thinking. This creative openness allows the brain to connect distant ideas and produce insights. Some dream content may reflect attempts to reorganize information in more effective ways, which can lead to better understanding or unexpected solutions. Another important function of dreaming is the processing of motor memory. The brain practices physical skills during sleep, even though the body does not move. Neural circuits involved in motion activate repeatedly, which strengthens coordination and muscle memory. Athletes, musicians, and performers often experience dreamlike rehearsals that support skill development. Although these dreams may not look like perfect copies of waking movements, they mirror the internal processes used for learning. During sleep, the brain also strengthens emotional bonds. It replays interactions with important people, which helps maintain social connection. This may explain why familiar faces appear frequently in dreams, even if the scenes are unrealistic. The emotional weight of relationships encourages the brain to review and reinforce these connections. Dreams can help clarify social roles by allowing the mind to experiment with different interpretations of behavior without real-world consequences. As the night progresses, dream content becomes more complex. With each REM cycle, the mind gains more freedom to connect ideas and build emotional narratives. These cycles work together to maintain psychological and cognitive balance. By morning, the brain has completed multiple layers of emotional integration, memory consolidation, and neural restoration. The dream experiences of the night reflect this deep internal work. Although dreams often feel chaotic, they follow the underlying logic of the brain's nightly maintenance. They reveal how the mind uses sleep, not only to recover, but also to learn, adapt, and grow. Through dreams, the brain processes its past, prepares for its future, and maintains stability in the present. Dreams also illuminate how the brain processes unresolved cognitive tension. During the day, the mind collects questions, uncertainties, and incomplete thoughts that it does not have time to fully analyze. While asleep, the brain begins to revisit these cognitive fragments in a low-pressure environment where attention is not pulled in multiple directions. This quiet internal space allows the brain to sort through competing ideas and integrate conflicting information into a more coherent mental framework. Dreams often appear symbolic because the brain is working through abstract problems that do not translate neatly into literal images. Even when the dream seems unrelated to daily experiences, it may reflect subtle cognitive adjustments happening beneath awareness. Another dimension of dreaming involves the reorganization of language networks. Throughout the day, language circuits receive constant stimulation from conversations, reading, and internal dialogue. During sleep, these circuits reorganize and strengthen connections that support communication and comprehension. This internal recalibration may lead to dream content that includes conversations, internal monologues, or imagined speech. The experience of hearing voices or speaking in dreams may reflect the brain's attempt to refine linguistic processing. Dreaming also supports the development of intuition. Intuition is often described as rapid decision-making based on deep, unconscious pattern recognition. During sleep, the brain compares past experiences with new information, allowing it to detect patterns that are not obvious while awake. Dream content may incorporate symbolic forms of these patterns, helping the mind recognize meaningful associations more quickly. This mechanism strengthens intuitive judgment, which plays an important role in emotional intelligence and everyday reasoning. In addition to shaping intuition, Dreams contribute to perspective taking. The mind may simulate different viewpoints and emotional states, allowing it to explore how others might think or feel. This internal testing of viewpoints supports empathy and improves social understanding. Even if the dream does not feature real people, the emotional dynamics experienced in dreams reflect the brain's attempt to understand human interaction more deeply. Another function linked to dreaming is neural pruning. Neural pruning is the selective removal of weak or unused connections. This process makes the brain more efficient by strengthening important pathways and eliminating redundant ones. Dreaming may reflect this refinement as the brain activates circuits during the pruning process. Although the content of dreams does not directly represent pruning, it may appear as the conscious surface of the structural reorganization taking place in deeper neural layers. Dreams also help regulate motivation. The brain frequently reviews goals, desires, and frustrations during sleep. This internal evaluation shapes motivation by adjusting emotional priorities. Sometimes, dreams highlight concerns that you have been avoiding. At other times, they reinforce important goals by bringing them to the surface in symbolic ways. The motivational influence of dreams may be subtle, but it shapes long-term behavior. Sensory imagination is another cornerstone of dreaming. During sleep, the sensory regions of the brain recreate images, sounds, and sensations from memory. This internal replay supports the stability of sensory interpretation. Even when the imagery is distorted or surreal, it strengthens the brain's ability to construct meaning from incomplete information. This helps the mind remain adaptable in uncertain or rapidly changing environments. Dreams also support psychological resilience. By exposing the mind to emotional challenges in a safe space, the brain practices stress recovery. This rehearsal improves the ability to stay calm in stressful situations during the day. Research suggests that people who get consistent sleep adapt better to emotional strain. Dreams play a central role in this adaptation by helping regulate the nervous system. As the brain moves through sleep cycles, dream content evolves. Early dreams may focus on simple emotional processing, while later dreams become more complex and incorporate richer sensory detail. Each cycle allows the brain to work through a different layer of cognitive, emotional, or memory-related tasks. By morning, the brain has completed multiple layers of integration that help maintain balance and clarity. These processes reveal that dreams are not random products of imagination, but structured expressions of how the brain restores itself. They help maintain mental health, strengthen memory, refine emotion, support creativity, and prepare the mind for the demands of waking life. The deeper we study dreams, the more clearly we see that they represent the hidden architecture of the human mind, working in harmony with the rhythms of sleep.